My friend, what if I told you that everything you've been taught about life is fundamentally wrong? What if the struggle, the striving, the desperate attempt to make life work, what if all of that is based on a misunderstanding? What if life is not a problem to be solved, not a battle to be won, not a mountain to be climbed, but a game to be played? And what if, once you understand the rules of this game, once you see it for what it actually is, everything changes. Let's explore this together, because this understanding could liberate you from the suffering that comes from taking life too seriously. From the moment you're born, you're taught that life is serious. Your parents are serious about your education. Your teachers are serious about your grades. Your society is serious about your career, your status, your achievements. Everything is urgent. Everything matters. Everything is a test that you must pass. And so you grow up believing that life is this grave, serious, high-stakes affair where one wrong move could ruin everything. You believe that you must be careful, must plan, must control, must achieve. You believe that happiness is something you earn through hard work and sacrifice. You believe that you must become someone other than who you are in order to be worthy of love and success. But what if this is all a game? What if the rules that you've been taught are just arbitrary rules that someone else created and you don't actually have to follow them? What if the whole thing, the competition, the hierarchy, the status, the accumulation is just a game that people play, and you could choose not to play it? Think about what a game actually is. A game has rules, but the rules are arbitrary. They're not laws of nature. They're not absolute truths. They're just agreed upon structures that give the game its shape and its challenge. In chess, the king can only move one square at a time. But this rule doesn't mean anything in the real world. It's just part of the game. In Monopoly, you move around a board and buy properties. But this has nothing to do with actual economics or actual life. It's just a game. And the beautiful thing about a game is that you can play it or not play it. You can follow the rules or break them. You can take it seriously or play it lightly. The game itself doesn't care. Now, what if life is like this? What if the rules of society, the rules that say you must have a good job, a nice house, a successful career, a certain status, what if these are just rules of a game? What if they're not absolute truths? What if you could choose not to follow them? This is what Krishnamurti was pointing to when he spoke about life as a game. Not that life is meaningless or that nothing matters, but that the game that society is playing, the game of competition and accumulation and status seeking, this is just a game. And you don't have to play. But here's where it gets interesting. Most people are playing this game without even knowing they're playing it. They think it's real. They think the rules are absolute. They think that if they don't follow the rules, something terrible will happen. They're so identified with the game that they can't see it as a game. They can't step back and observe it. They're completely caught up in it. And this is where the suffering comes from. The suffering comes not from the game itself, but from the belief that the game is real, that the game is all there is, that the game is life itself. When you realize that it's a game, something shifts. You can still play the game if you want to. You can still go to work, earn money, build a career, but you play it differently. You play it with a kind of lightness, a kind of humor. You're not desperately trying to win. You're not anxious about losing. You're not identified with your position in the game. You're aware that it's a game and you're playing it, but you're not lost in it. You're not taking it personally. You're not believing that your worth depends on how well you play. Think about what happens when you play a video game. You might get very engaged in it. You might care about winning. But some level, you know it's not real. You know that if your character dies, you can start again. You know that the points you accumulate don't mean anything in the real world. And because of this, you can play with a kind of freedom. You can take risks. You can experiment. You can fail and not be devastated by it. You can try things that you wouldn't try if you thought it was real. And often, when you play this way, when you're not desperately trying to win, you actually play better. You're more creative, more flexible, more responsive to what's happening in the moment. Life is like this. When you realize that it's a game, you can play it with more freedom, more creativity, more joy. You can take risks that you wouldn't take if you thought your life depended on it. You can try things that might fail. You can pursue what genuinely interests you instead of what society says you should pursue. You can be authentic instead of performing the role that society has assigned to you. And paradoxically, when you play this way, when you're not desperately trying to win, you often end up winning anyway. You end up being more successful, more fulfilled, more alive. But how do you actually hack this game? How do you play it in a way that liberates you? The first thing is to recognize the rules. You have to see the game clearly. You have to understand what the game is asking of you, what is rewarding, what is punishing. Most people never do this. They just follow the rules without questioning them. But when you step back and look at the game, you start to see it. You see that the game is rewarding status and punishing obscurity. The game is rewarding accumulation and punishing simplicity. The game is rewarding competition and punishing cooperation. The game is rewarding the appearance of success and punishing the appearance of failure. Once you see these rules clearly, you can decide whether you want to follow them or not. Let me give you some concrete examples of these rules. In the workplace game, the rule is that you must climb the ladder, you must get promoted, you must earn more money, you must have a better title. And if you're not doing this, if you're staying in the same position, if you're content with what you have, you're seen as unmotivated, as lacking ambition, as a failure. But is this true? Or is this just a rule of the game? What if you are happy in your current position? What if you don't want the stress and responsibility of a higher position? What if you value your time and your peace more than you value status and money. The game says you're losing. But are you, or are you just playing a different game? One where peace and contentment are the measures of success. In the relationship game, the rule is that you must find a partner, get married, have children, buy a house together. This is what success looks like. And if you're not doing this, if you're single, if you're choosing not to have children, if you're living in a small apartment, you're seen as incomplete, as missing out, as somehow deficient. But again, is this true, or is this just a rule of the game? What if you are happy being single? What if you don't want children? What if you prefer the freedom and simplicity of a small space? The game says you're losing. But are you? Or are you just playing by different rules? The second thing is to recognize that the rules are not absolute. They're not laws of nature. They're just arbitrary agreements. And agreements can be changed. You can choose to follow different rules. You can choose to value different things. You can choose to measure success differently. You can choose to care about different outcomes. This is the real hack. This is the cheat code. It's not about finding a way to win the game as it's currently played. It's about recognizing that you don't have to play the game as it's currently played. You can create your own game. You can set your own rules. You can define success for yourself instead of accepting society's definition. I knew someone who did this. He was working in finance, making a lot of money, climbing the corporate ladder. From the outside, he was winning the game, but inside, he was miserable. He hated his job. He hated the competition. He hated the person he was becoming. So he quit. He left the city. He moved to a small town. He started working as a carpenter, making furniture with his hands. He made a fraction of what he used to make. His old colleagues thought he was crazy. His family was worried about him. But he was happy. He was playing a different game now. One where the measure of success was not money or status, but craftsmanship, creativity, peace. He had hacked the game by refusing to play it. The third thing is to detach from outcomes. In a real game, you play to win. But in life, when you understand that it's a game, you can play without being attached to winning. You can play for the joy of playing. You can play for the experience, for the learning, for the growth. You can play knowing that you might lose, and that's okay. This is where real freedom comes in. Because most of the anxiety, most of the stress, most of the suffering in life comes from attachment to outcomes. You're desperately trying to make things turn out a certain way. You're anxious about failure. You're afraid of loss. You're constantly trying to control and manipulate reality to get what you want. But when you understand that it's a game, you can let go of this attachment. You can play your best, but you can accept whatever outcome comes. You can work toward your goals, but you can be okay if you don't achieve them. You can try to win, but you can be okay if you lose. And when you play this way, something remarkable happens. You become more effective. You become more creative. You become more responsive to what's actually happening, instead of being caught in your anxiety about what might happen. You become more alive. Think about an athlete who is so desperate to win that they are paralyzed by anxiety. They're so worried about losing that they can't perform at their best. They're so attached to the outcome that they're not present to the game itself. Compare this to an athlete who loves the game, who plays for the joy of it, who gives their best but doesn't cling to winning. This athlete is relaxed. They're present. They're responsive. And often they perform better because they're not carrying the burden of attachment. The fourth thing is to recognize that death is just the game ending. This is perhaps the most liberating realization. Most people are so afraid of death that they spend their entire lives trying to avoid it, trying to deny it, trying to postpone it. And this fear of death colors everything. It makes them desperate. It makes them cling to things. It makes them take the game too seriously. But when you understand that life is a game, you understand that death is just the game ending. It's not a tragedy. It's not a failure. It's just the end of the game. And when you accept this, when you make peace with death, something shifts. You stop being so desperate. You stop clinging so tight. You start to play the game more freely, more joyfully, more authentically. Think about it. If you knew that you only had 1 year to live, would you still be playing the game the way you're playing it now? Would you still be working at a job you hate? Would you still be trying to impress people you don't care about? Would you still be accumulating things you don't need? Would you still be following rules that don't serve you? Probably not. You'd probably start playing the game differently. You'd probably start doing what actually matters to you. You'd probably start being more authentic, more present, more alive. Well, the truth is, you do only have a limited time to live. You don't know how much time, but it's limited. So why not play the game that way now? Why not live as if you only had a year to live? Why not use this awareness to liberate yourself from the rules that don't serve you? The fifth thing is to recognize that you are not the player. This is the deepest hack. You've been taught that you are a separate individual, playing the game of life, trying to win, trying to get ahead, trying to be better than others. But what if this is not true? What if you are not the player but the game itself? What if you are not separate from life but are life itself? What if the entire universe is playing this game and you are just one expression of that universal play? When you realize this, when you truly understand that you are not a separate individual trying to win a game, but that you are the game itself, the entire nature of your experience changes. You stop trying to control life. You stop trying to make it turn out a certain way. You stop trying to be someone you're not. You simply allow life to flow through you. You become a channel for life's expression. You become responsive to what's actually happening. Instead of trying to impose your will on reality. And in this state, there is a kind of peace a kind of freedom, a kind of aliveness that is beyond anything you can achieve through effort or striving. This is what Krishnamurti meant by hacking the game. It's not about finding clever strategies to win. It's not about outsmarting the system. It's about stepping outside the game entirely. It's about recognizing that the game is just a game, that the rules are arbitrary, that you don't have to play by them, and that the deepest freedom comes not from winning the game, but from understanding that you are not separate from the game. You are the game. Life is not something happening to you. Life is what you are. So, my friend, I invite you to look at your own life. What game are you playing? What rules are you following? Are these rules serving you, or are they imprisoning you? Are you playing the game that society has taught you to play, or are you playing your own game? Are you taking the game so seriously that you've forgotten how to play? Are you so identified with winning that you've forgotten the joy of simply playing? And most importantly, have you recognized that it's a game at all? Or are you still believing that it's real, that it's serious, that your life depends on winning? When you see the game for what it is, when you understand that the rules are arbitrary, when you accept that you might lose and that's okay, when you make peace with death, when you recognize that you are not separate from life, but are life itself in that moment, you are free. You are free to play or not play. You are free to follow the rules or break them. You are free to define success for yourself. You are free to be authentic. You are free to be alive. And this freedom, this lightness, this joy of playing without desperation, this is the real hack. This is the cheat code to life. And it's available to you right now, in this very moment, if you're willing to see it.